Hello. In this video, I'm going to go over the syllabus for our Philosophy 101 Introduction to Philosophy class. All right, so obviously starting up here at the top is my name, Dr. Nick Nash, and then under that, my BMCC email. Email is always a good way to reach me, but you can also reach me through Canvas. Here's our class time, Tuesday and Thursday, 3 to 4:50. And then these are all of the campuses where I would be teaching the class if it were in person. Something that we all discovered when we did the icebreaker and introductions on the first day of class is that actually we have students from an even wider service area than these places. This is something that I'm pretty proud of. I love having students from across BMCC service area in my class. It just gives us an excellent opportunity to meet people from across our region, which I think is pretty cool. Under this, I have my, in place of my office, my Zoom ID. It's 503-449-5555. That number will be the number you can type into Zoom to get into class during a regular class time. And then these links I will be adding to our course webpage. These are my student hours, so these are times when students can come in and ask questions, or if they just want to chat, whatever it may be. This, of course, will also be through Zoom. It'll be Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m., so immediately after class, and then Thursdays from 2 to 3. And these will be using a separate link from our class time because it's also available to my online class as well. And then I'm always available by appointment if you ever want to talk to me for any reason. All right, so here is the course description and the course outcomes. In this course, students are introduced to a number of classical issues in Western philosophy. We're going to focus on close and careful reading of philosophical material. We'll discover this in Thursday's class, as well as the process of finding and critiquing arguments found in this material. So, in support of this, students are going to be taught to read and write philosophy. As the instructor, I'm particularly interested in highlighting the value that the tools of philosophy can bring to everyday life. And then the course outcomes, I'm not going to go through all of these, but there they are if you want to go back and look. The last couple of things on the first page, the course textbook. As you'll see, all of the readings are going to be available through Canvas. And then there's the classic academic honesty page or statement cut and pasted from the BMCC website. All right. This is sort of where the action happens, and I will talk through the course requirements broadly, and then I will go back and talk about each of them specifically. All right, so there are, broadly speaking, 5 requirements. There are the daily class assignments, so for the most part, there's one of these for each class period. Then there's our first philosophy paper, about a 3 to 5 page philosophy paper. I'll give you very precise instructions about how to write this. There's also a second philosophy paper. Again, you'll get very precise instructions about how to write the paper. And then there is a midterm exam and a final exam. So I'll talk through each of these in turn. So the daily assignments, so basically how these work for each of our class meetings, there's going to be some questions to kind of center our thinking. I set the due date for all of these as the day of class when I will be talking about the material. However, how these assignments in my class work is that I set the due date for either Tuesday or Thursday during class time, and then you can turn them in at any time up to 8 a.m. the Monday after they're assigned. So you can complete the assignments anytime you want up until the end of the week that they're assigned in, basically. And I set that time at 8 a.m. Monday morning because there's a lot of students who like to work late into Sunday night, and the default's midnight on Sunday, and that sort of runs into that. And they cut students off. So anyway, I make it 8 a.m. Monday morning. The grading on these assignments, I grade them using what I call an 8, 9, 10 scale. And this means that any reasonable attempt at the assignment will receive a minimum of 80% of the available points. And I grade this way because I don't want students to be afraid to sort of work through new ideas in the daily assignments. Also, I really want them to be low risk, and they are, generally speaking. So for the most part, I give a lot of 10s. The first paper and second paper, these are going to be 3 to 5 page philosophy papers that focus on clearly presenting an argument that we've covered in class, presenting an objection to this argument, and a response to this objection, and then a reply to this response. Again, don't worry about these. I have a whole PowerPoint to go through to talk us through all of these, and I have very precise instructions, so you'll understand how to do it when we get there. The midterm and final exams, I call these exams, they're take-home exams. So they're sort of like another version of papers, really, so far as it goes. And these just allow me to ask different kinds of questions. So they're mostly short answer questions that allow you to interact with the material in a different way. And I sort of set it up this way because some students are really good at writing papers and other students are better at sort of short answer things, and I want everybody to be able to be successful. So the late policy for the first paper, the second paper, the midterm, and the final exam, it's a little bit different than the daily work. On these, you lose 5% each day that you're late, up to 25%. So after 5 days late, you will no longer lose points. And the purpose of this policy is to encourage you to turn your work in on time, right? Because 5% is a pretty significant loss. But it also will allow you to turn your work in no matter how late it is. There's always value in turning something in, even if it's really, really late. And here I'd say just turn your stuff in on time. That's always the best way to get ahead in my class. I mean, there at the bottom I have my ADA statement. All right, so now I'm going to just quickly go over the schedule for the class. We see there during week 1, the half week, we had the welcome and introduction. Starting this week, we have we're going to start with an introduction and critical thinking. So we're going to look at Elliott Sober on deductive arguments and inductive arguments, and then we're going to launch into proofs for the existence of God. And this is one of my favorite topics in all of philosophy. I think it's going to be super, super fun. So as you see there, we'll start with St. Anselm, Thomas Aquinas, Paley, Pascal, A.J. Ayer, and Ernest Nagel. Then after spending 3 weeks on proofs for the existence of God, we'll look at animal ethics. Also, I think a very fun topic. We'll spend 3 weeks on that, looking at things like Peter Singer, All Animals Are Equal, Carl Cohen, Why Animals Have No Rights, difficulties with the strong animal rights position, Why I'm a demi-vegan, Why I'm a vegan and you should be too, strict vegetarianism is immoral, and the least harm principle. So again, this material I think is super, super fun, and I'm excited to share it with you all. And then we're going to close out the class by talking about political philosophy. Now, I will just sort of say, as a clarifying remark here, that political philosophy doesn't necessarily connect with politics today, right? Political philosophy is sort of the stuff that's under that. So I wouldn't say that we're going to be talking about politics when we're talking about political philosophy, although perhaps things will come up. So in the political philosophy section, we're going to talk about Hobbes, who's one of my favorite philosophers, Locke. We're going to read some Karl Marx, and then Tocqueville, seeing a very early critique of democracy that I think is going to be tremendously interesting to go back to, and then Popper there at the end. And then we see during week 12, finals week, and the final exam for the class is due on Wednesday morning of finals week. I'll just sort of say this to kind of close things out. Generally speaking, if you run into any troubles, the best thing to do is to reach out to me. I can be very flexible with due dates, and really all I want to do is put you in a place to be successful, wherever that place is. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.